another Orc player who was at the same event. Like I said, he was right behind Joel Romuel. His name is Stephen Olszewski from Death or Glory. So shout out to Death or Glory. Of course, to the Grand War Boss, which is Brad Chester out there. That's always been doing good with War Horde. He hasn't been playing Orcs for a bit. He jumped off to some other gits, but his teammate ended up coming out and making a splash. So shout out to Death and Glory. They do have a YouTube channel. I do recommend you check them out, especially if Stefan is going to get his own perspective. Hopefully he did. I haven't seen yet if he did get around to it, but I'm sure somebody will talk about it. Like I said, Brad is a big fan of Orcs, so shout out to Brad Chester. So let's take a look at my boy's list. I almost messed that up. So his list is called the Red Tide. So yes, he called it Red Tide, but this is very much a War Horde list. He did pick the War Horde detachment for that. So on his list, he has one Beast Boss on foot, a Boss Snikra, Ghazghkull Thraka, and triple War Bosses. Triple. Yes, I said it like that. 2 Beast Snagga Boys as his only battle line units, triple trucks, 2 minimum size unit of Gretchen, 1 Killwig, 2 Mega Nobz, because of course that's the minimum size squad. Again, you can see like when we looked at Joel Ramios, he has a Kill Saw and a Power Claw, of course, so he can offset and pick. I'm gonna get to chat here in a bit. And then we have 3 Nob units, but yes, he kicked it back to index times where he said, I'm not bringing 1 Sagapple unit. I'm bringing 2 of these big killy 10-man bricks and then 1 5-man unit. But yes, he very much did have the 5-man unit with Big Chopper. He did. I double checked, and the other guys were definitely with Power Claws. Sorry, I should have wrote that in the presentation. They were with Power Claws, but the 5-man unit was legit with Big Choppers, guys. So he was looking to hit on 2s and just straight for straight volume sometimes. I really love to see that, as not everything has great armor saves. We do know that a lot of things do, but, you know, quantity is a quality in itself, my lads. So then he has 2 5-man units of Storm Boys. So I really much like this list. Brings back a bit of an index hammer feel with all the Mega Nobz. Sorry, not Mega Nobz. With all the Nobz, I was still running Gaz in index, even though a lot of people weren't. Not a lot of people. People weren't at first, and then they came around to a very popular in the GT level. But I really like that he bought Snikra. People have been kind of sleeping on Snikra again for the most part. A lot of people are high on Zod. Not everybody wants to pay for all these big units of Gretchen or be giving up Call the Horde. So I totally respect that. But I really respect that he still went for Infiltrate. My guys, if you're not taking advantage of Infiltrate and or Scout, I do suggest that you look into it because it does benefit you in Pariah Nexus. As you can see, we've done 2 lists. Both of them are War Horde. Both of them had Infiltration, and one of them is trading out for Scouting, which is still pretty fantastic. So let's take a look at, I pulled up too much from him. Whoa, here we go. Today's sponsor, Baron of Dice. So Baron of Dice has great dice. They have actually enabled us to give these dice out for our paint competitions. So I greatly advise that you go out there. We have a link in the description for 5% discount. That's of course because nobody likes taxes. Shout out to Baron of Dice because they are actually customizing Orc dice just for us that you guys will be able to get a hold of, and they look exceptional. So shout out to Baron of Dice. Really appreciate you guys, and I really do suggest you get them. I love the actual texture these dice have. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's take a look at my boy, not my boy, I guess. Death and Glory's boy, Death or Glory's boy, Stephen Olszewski. And if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry, lad. I'm sorry. So we have in his first game, Stefan is going into, I don't want to mess up clicking the wrong thing. Dark Eldar. Really like to see that because this is one of those things that I'm, you know, if you told me this matchup was happening, I'd be like, ooh, that a lot of Orc players are going to drop the ball on that. It's not necessarily a clean matchup there. And one thing I want to bring out, you can see that he doesn't have flash kits in this matchup. So it was even more technical than you could think because for the most part, flash kits make this a bit more manageable. Sorry, guys, I have a dry throat today, so I'm drinking water. Normally I don't. So we have Drukhari with Sky Splinter Assault. Okay, I see you. We have triple Archon, 1 with Night Shroud, and then Lilith Hexpress, 2 Beastmaster units. My boys, the Beastmasters. Do I have to pull them out again? If chat, you tell me. If you want me to pull up the Beastmaster data sheet again, I'll pull it up again. But what I'll say is this is the most annoying Blade of Wounds for 105 points that you would ever not expect as a casual player. This unit can scout about 8 inches, and then it can move, I think 10-inch movement with, I think it's about 6 models, or it's some stupid number, like 7 models in the unit. A bunch of them have different wounds. Some have 3 of the wounds. All right, Chad told me to bring them out. I'm doing it. Give me a second. I pull up the Beastmaster. I brought them up before, but most people won't be expecting them. And you know what? I should bring it up because for the most part, your knowledge base going into Dark Eldar is really going to set the difference in when you win or lose, right? Luckily, I was able to get them into my cousin Christian, shout out to Christian, some matchups so he doesn't punish me in order for me to learn. So I was able to pick it up rather quickly, but if you've never seen it and you see something like this, this Beastmaster unit, you would blow your mind if it was at the GT level and it's your first time seeing it. And mind you, he has 2 of these on this. So, like we said, yes, it is. It's a 7-man model unit. There's 1 Beastmaster, but he's accompanied by his beast. So there's 1 Clawed Fiend, 2 Chimera, and then 3 Razor Wing Flocks. It's not about the damage on this unit, guys. It's about the scouting, which is 9 inches, and then the movement, which is 12 inches. So I said 10 to 12 inches. So you can see the Beastmaster himself has 3 wounds. The Fiend has 5 wounds. The Chimera each have 2 wounds, and the Razor Wing Flock have 3 wounds. That means if you're getting 2 damage attacks going into this, he can simply choose not to put it on the Chimera, put it on the Razor Wing Flock, then the Clawed Fiend, and then into the Chimera's last before it goes into his Beastmaster. As in, you're going to lose damage here because it's going to be offset by these guys having three wounds a pop. That's what we talk about when it's a blade of wounds. It's a lot of wounds spread out against multiple models. Orcs are filled up with damage too, right? And another thing that I found super dumb for me and annoying, right, is that these guys are T4. So if you use a unit of basic boys, for example, or a Storm Boy unit to run into this, you're winning them on 4s. It still doesn't feel good. Again, Flash gets assist with this, but even more so, Infiltrators assist with this. That's why you need to do it. Oops, and I just realized I didn't have that on screen. What was I showing you guys? I'm a psycho. Boom. Give you a second to look at that again. You can see 12 inches, T4. This is 4 little individual data sheets. They are all toughness 4, but with different ablative wounds, sitting at 2, 3, Fiend sitting at 5. And then, of course, they do have a certain amount of punches of straight volume. They have an anti-infantry 3+ weapon. They have some Clawed Fiend punches with the devastating moves. They have lethal, and then they have sustain from the little Razor Wing. So it's even combat, and then they can reroll hits. Mind you, this guy has 2 of those units. So even one simple Boss Snickrock can at least pull these guys at bay a little bit, as they cannot scout within 9 inches of Boss Snickrock. Or if you had commandos, right? Like we talk about in other orc lists. Now we have the Cavalry Warriors, a unit of witches, Court of the Archon, 2 incubi, and then 2 units of mandrakes, 2 scourges for the fire and fade, Chronos, Talos, which have been slept on for a while, but 50 points, guys, for this little thing. Orcs would love to have something like that durable for that, right? 1 mech gun, way more durable than a mech gun. 1 unit of Talos, which are 2 Talos pretty much for the value, 2 Raiders, and then 3 Venoms. Like I said here, guys, Orcs really want their space, and for the most part, Drukhari can smother you. I'm very much under the impression that this was straight up all skill on Stephen Olszewski, and the fact that he's very likely familiar because Death or Glory do play at a very high tier level, and they do play team events. Therefore, I'm sure he got repetitions and practice out into Dark Eldar. He very much knew what was going on. First time I ran to Dark Eldar several times, I lost, right? Right away, the first game, I think maybe in the second one I lost. If it wasn't the second one, then I won the second one, but it can go either way because how it reacts, and the Orcs don't necessarily have all the tools. So you just end up taking some things out. It's more difficult. The fact that he didn't even have flash kits, like I said, showing up his list again, makes it so you can see he was even more important. Fight on death is what I really like about War Horde going into any other alternate melee matchup, because you can end up trading Nobz and Snagaboys and stuff like that, and actually control the tempo of the game and still keep the rate of attrition up. So going into his second game, so shout out to him for winning that one. Not an easy one. That's a knowledge-based kind of win right there. Going into his second game, he went into the dreaded Blood Angels, which these guys are annoying the meta as a whole right now because they're just strong. And of course, we're going to see how they look when their actual books drop. So I'm not going to put too much time into this because this can all change by the time you guys end up really looking into it too much, right? No point in kind of learning the old rules. But his Gladius Task Force, so he gets access to advance in charge, fall back in charge, will really help Space Marines as a whole. You have Chief Librarian Mephiston, Commander Dante, Captain in Gravis armor, so that's unique, and a chaplain with jump pack. So he doesn't have the Sangdunor with the chalice, not the Sanguinor, excuse me. Yeah, he doesn't have the Sanguinor for the coming out of the sky and fighting characters. He doesn't have the priest for the Feel No Pains. Those are 2 very, very potent unit characters right there. You can see he doesn't have the dreaded top meta combo, but he still has the dreaded, meta list and faction. So be careful. He has 1 big unit of Assault Intercessors for 150, and then a small 5-man unit of Assault Intercessors. 1 big brick of Aggressors, whereas that's where that captain was, the Fire Discipline. 1 Death Company Marine with jetpacks unit and then the Sanguinary Guard for 155. That unit's a bit overpriced to me, but it is what it is. Still, they do got that Armor of Contempt and 2+ save, boys. A Stern Guard unit, a Death Company Dreadnought, Gladiator Lancer, a Predator Annihilator, a Redemptor Dreadnought, and then an Impulsor. So not the most efficient version of the Blood Angels. Yes, you can actually very much get off with playing a Blood Angels vehicle heavy list, but for the most part using Ball Predators in that case. This list didn't have that. I'm very much, like I said, the impression that Stefan was very good overall. I know just from his team that he's a good player. So I'm sure that he kind of overcame those things with a quickness. Make sure I didn't click the wrong thing. Yes, I did. Okay, I didn't. Yes. All right. Then we go into his third matchup. This is a straight 100-point victory right here. So it's against the Angry Boys, the World Eaters. So we have Angron, Lord Invocatus, 2 units of Jackals for that sticky, 1 unit of 8-bound, 2 units of Exalted 8-bound, and then 2 units of the World Eaters Chaos Spawn, 2 World Eaters Forge Fiend with the Ectoplasmic Cannons, and then a War Dog Carnivore. War Dog Carnivore is pretty solid. You know, who am I to judge? I'm not judging nobody, right? And I'm not trying to talk down this. What I was going to say is what's interesting to me on a World Eaters list, though, as much as I do like carnivores, they're really cool looking and they do great damage. But what I was really like about it, especially if you already have shooting on your list, is if you have a Mauler Fiend, right? Because the Mauler Fiend gets, the World Eater one specifically gets plus 2 inches if someone's already hurt. If they're blooded, I'm pretty sure what's called. So you can come in from reserve and end up getting a nice sweet like 7-inch charge from reserves with a Mauler Fiend. So it's another ally that you might see. I'm just pretty much well, I guess it's not an ally, it's part of their codex, but it's another big unit that might you be seen. But if you're bringing a carnivore, that's something that sometimes gets strategic reserves. So yeah, I do like that this World Eaters list did bring some Forge Fiends, but a lot of the time they can get away with no shooting. And like I didn't point this out earlier, but I should have. It's a big unit of Exalted 8-pound, so he does have that missile. I do find World Eaters to be very potent when they just break down their list into MSU and still bring Angron, as in they just break into a bunch of 3-man units of 8-bound, a bunch of 3-man unit of Exalted 8-bound, get some stacked Jackals for sticky objective, and then fill up the rest maybe with Chaos Spawn and, like I said, Angron. Not that you have to bring Angron, but I just like to bring him because he makes the game funny. So this is still a good, quite efficient list, not the most efficient that you would ever see across the meta, just because you do sometimes see, Berserker, the Master of Executions, like we talked about before, or you do see Karn isn't actually like meta, but in an orc matchup, he does kind of help because he will fight on death, so you can try to take a character down with him sometimes. That being said, a lot of the time it comes to who went first, who went second, and did you retain your CP so that you can do fight on death to try to offset this game. So 100 point there. Shout out to Stefan. I'm sure that he managed his resources quite well there and ended up getting that W. Let's take a look at his 4th game. So his 4th game was against the person who won the event, right here, Conan Jennings. And with that being said, let's take a look at Conan Jennings' list, because this was a Dadius Dark Angels Task Force. Of course, like we talked about, it's going to have the very potent, oops, I just took away something, sorry, very potent Deathwing Terminator. So we have a Biologist Apothecary with Fire Discipline, Asriel, and a Judiciar, a unit of Assault Intercessors Squad, 3 units of Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack, 3 units of Deathwing Knight, 1 big Eradicator Brick, an Infiltrator, Inner Circle Companions, Repulsor, and then a Scout Squad. So these Inner Circle Companions, -1 to hit, 3 wounds of pop, quite durable, especially for their point values, hard to get rid of. And then you still have the Deathwing Knights that you have to deal with in that case. Of course, like I showed you earlier, they do have, oh, am I too close? They do have the -1 damage. You got to be really prepared for that. Gas kind of helps, but if you don't have gas, he's just pretty much trying to bully you right there. Maces for anti-vehicle, anti-monster 2+. These guys do hit on 2s, and they do have 4 wounds of pop and a 4-up invuln. Very, very annoyingly durable. You do have Asriel for sustain 1s in here, giving you additional CP and access to a 4-up Funeral Pain. So of course, you can imagine that he already has the Eradicator Brick with the Biologist, and in this case, I'm pretty sure you could just put Asriel with the Inner Circle if you wanted to. I'm trying to see if there's another unit here that would have been better. Probably not. Oh, the Judiciar is going with the Inner Circle. Never mind. Asriel's definitely not going there. Judiciar is definitely going with the Inner Circle Companions for that fight first. Very potent list. Has the fight first, but then it has the ability to just stand back. Stand in the middle objective and any objective really, and just be like, come get it. If you get stuck in a fight with them, they'll fall back and charge you. If you play too turtley, they can advance and charge into you and then take the initiative away from you argue because they're Gladius. So shout out to Conan Jennings for winning the event, but I can see how that'd be very difficult for Stefan because his list really does just have a bunch of knobs, right? He does have our boy Ghazghkull on this list, but that still doesn't, deter the fact that even if Gaz is holding one of those guys into one of those units in place and slowly chipping them down, because normally it's 4 flat damage would be great into that kind of unit, but in this case it's 3, so he's not even chopping through them very effectively. And you have the Nobz trying to go in for their flat 2 damage, not really getting anything off there, and only a single kill rig, so even the last cannons from the Word Tower aren't really coming into play to help you kill those guys. So really difficult matchup. It's a behoove you to just go into that matchup knowing that it can be difficult, and we do sometimes have the units and the data sheets, like if you have a Gork, of course Gork can get crump in and start messing them up, but you already know going into when you bring a Gork that there's some armies that just obliterate them. And 2, you see that they have an Eradicator brick on this list as well, so they're very much prepared for that. It just comes down to that's really good army right now, and Orks don't lack. Orks being a vastly 2 damage army lacks some of the tools into killing it. So nothing bad about losing that, especially to the person who wins the event. And then we go to his last matchup. So for his last matchup, he goes into the Tyranids. And again, it's Invasion Fleet. Invasion Fleet is just straight up powerful, bro. Just like we're playing War Horde still with our Codex, that's how Tyranid players are right now too. They're like, we get our, sustains or we get lethal. So like, yeah, we get sustained forever. So we have a Broodlord, a Hive Tyrant, and a Neuro Tyrant. Does this look familiar, Gets? A Gargoyle, a Biovore, triple Exocrines, a Gene Steel Brick, double Lictors, 2 Maleceptors, a Paravo, a Tyrannofex with Acid Spray, and then a Tyrannofex with Rupture Cannon. Wait, yeah. I'm like, didn't we just make sure I'm not putting on the wrong person's list? Yeah, that's the same. All right, guys. The reason I'm saying that is, did Joel end up playing the same guy? So I'm like, yeah, look. So both Orc players ended up running to the same Tyranid player. So this Tyranid player is definitely hitting Orcs right now. So sorry, Jude Rand. I'm not laughing necessarily at you. I'm just saying, what's a coincidence? I was like, I could have sworn I just seen that list too. When I was taking my notes, I thought I did too. So that's funny. Yeah. Let's get some mega knobs in chat. Thanks, Wapo, for that. Yeah. So of course, you do have Snickrot in this case, so he could try to hold back the Broodlord bomb. One thing I do want to mention that I didn't last time is the Gargoyle brick. Gargoyle unit is such a great value screening unit against Orcs. They did increase the price on that. 85 points now makes it like not necessarily free to trade, but the fact that it can advance, shoot, and then move again after it shoots, it just has to shoot you and hit you. It doesn't have to do any damage or anything. Means that it's really good at kind of reactionary, getting in the Orc player's way, especially when you call the wall. And of course, whenever you call the wall against the Tyranid, sometimes you feel battle shock at the wrong time. So shout out to him for taking this one on. I do like that he did have Gaz. Like I always like to say, Gaz really helps offset a lot of our weaknesses, guys. So if you were ever wondering about Gaz, not only is he good for money wise, like monetary wise per point, but he helps you offset some of these things like Tyranids, Space Marines, Land Raiders, weird stuff like that. The Orcs just struggle so much right now into the Codex, taking away our Mega Knobs for that. And so I'm sure, like I said, that Jordan just played this very well. This same guy had to go into both Stefan and Joe, so that's pretty brutal by him to be crushed by the Great WAAAGH 2 times back to back, even with his double Maleceptors. But you know what that is? Bringing one less Maleceptor means that spot you don't have the Maleceptor, that he's not getting his aura of -1 to hit, -1. You could just really get stuck in on that side of the battlefield and kind of punch through them. One thing I do recommend for Tyranids is getting stuck in fast and stuck in early. You don't really want to go a long game with them, as they're still Xenos, so they kind of want to play that similar style of I'll die for points because I never really expected to survive anyways. So that being said, shout out to Stefan, as that was his conclusion, going 4-1 at the Michigan GT. Like you see, he took his final loss in the 4th round, which is pretty nice of him. Pretty respectable. So this is the Red Tide. So he has 1 Beast Boss, followed by Boss Snickrot, Ghazghkull Thraka, and then triple War Boss. 2 units of Beast Snagga Boys, 3 trucks, because transports are awesome value, 2 units of Gretchen, a Kill Rig, 2 Mega Knobs, each with a Kill Saw and a Power Claw for the choice of what you want to profile you want to use. 3 units of Nobz, 2 of them being big 10-man bricks, and then that 5-man unit. We've finally seen it, guys. From all the talk, from all the babble that we have ever done, someone has decided I am bringing the 5 knobs with big choppers with the war boss. Yeah, hitting on 2 is for pure value, and you can really appreciate it because then you also have the lethals, right? Or you can give yourself an additional strength from the kill rigs. So you're already sitting there with your big choppers, and you give them +1 from the wall, then +1 from the kill rig. Boom, getting stuck in, boys. That's legit. I like that. I like that. And that's a weird skirmish, right? You're like, oh, you got a 4-up end zone and a 3-up base save. Oh, you got a demon save. I got whoa. So shout out to Stephen Olszewski and Death or Glory for doing great. And of course, check out their channels. Hopefully they talked about it. I didn't get to see if they did. And if they did, I'll be sure to give it a nice listen.
If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!